What's up, everybody? It's your boy Stevie the Black, S-T-E-V-E-E, the Black. I'm back. I told you I was going to get this video and talk to you about it, and I will. So, as you know, we are in unique times right now with COVID-19, and I want to say it's been since March since we've had no sports. Now, if you're not a basketball fan or a baseball fan, then this doesn't really matter to you because all you're waiting for is football, and, well, we haven't had any, right? So we're lucky. But every now and then, people know that some things just don't ever change. And what I mean by that is somebody was like, you know what? We need something to talk about. So, and I know exactly how we're going to get that done. Let's mess with some Eagles fans, because we know if we do this, we can get them Eagles fans talking, and then we can have something to talk about. So CBS came out with this list of the top 10 head coaches in the NFL, and I'm going to read them to you. It's, so, number 1 through 10, right? So, number 1 is Bill Belichick, of course. Number 2, Andy Reid, okay. Number 3, John Harbaugh, oh, okay. Number 4, Sean Payton, what? All right. Number 5, Kyle Shanahan. What? Number 6, McVay. Number 7, Tomlin. 8 is Pete Carroll. 9, Doug Pederson is 9. And then Mike Zimmer is 10. Now you look at that list and you go, I don't see the problem. That sounds like a pretty legit list. And yeah, for number 1 and number 2. But after that, it gets very, very wrong. First of all, I don't know how many times we have to say this. Sean McVay is not better than Doug Pederson. He's not a better coach than him. I heard the dude who made the list, he even made a response video to Eagles fans to justify what it was he was thinking, and said, you know, Sean McVay just has a better winning percentage. Okay, what? So you want to use the fact that the Eagles won the Super Bowl and they did? Oh, okay. Well, that's really not enough. Really? How about this little fact for you? Both times the Eagles and Rams have faced each other, Doug Pederson has won. And it wasn't in Philadelphia. It was in, oh, excuse me. It was in L.A. on their home field. Mind you, one of those games was after Carson Wentz tore his ACL and had to leave the middle of a game. Deflating, oh, any team would just break down at that point. Mind you, the second game, which was the following year, Carson Wentz just was revealed that Carson Wentz had back issues and he had to be sidelined, and Nick Foles had to come in, who hadn't played since week 2. And they played pretty well in the game. So again, don't tell me Sean McVay is better than Doug Pederson. And right now, this year coming up, it's about to be 3-0 because we're going to beat him in Philadelphia. I'm getting sick and tired of people putting the boy genius that is Sean McVay ahead of Doug Pederson. Doug Pederson is a way better coach than him. Doug Pederson has made the playoffs 3 straight times. I don't want to hear that. So, McVay, off. John Harbaugh. Okay, he's a Super Bowl winning head coach, but the last 2 times he's been to the playoffs, he's been embarrassed. He's been embarrassed. We haven't been embarrassed. Now, Carson Wentz was knocked out, so that doesn't count. I mean, if you want to say embarrassing for the Saints game, okay, but they had a shot to end the winning if Alshon catches the ball. So, John Harbaugh, he's been choking in the playoffs these last 2 years, so I don't want to hear it. Gone. Sean Payton. Oh, Sean Payton. How many years has it been? 3 years now? You've been trying to get back to the Super Bowl, and somehow you failed each time. The only one time you had a legitimate excuse was when the NFC Championship game with the blatant, obvious pass interference. But other than that, the other 2 games, you were just outplayed. You could say one of the games they were lucky with the when the guy didn't tackle Stephon Diggs. Okay, but that oh well. Maybe if you had played better game against the Vikings, then maybe you would have maybe you would have won. And then this past postseason, they just flat out, you just lost to Kirk Cousins. How do you lose to Kirk Cousins? Come on. I don't want to hear it. Sean Payton, next. Kyle Shanahan. What is he, a third-year head coach? He's blown 2 Super Bowls, and you want me to put him ahead of Doug Pederson? Sorry. Pete Carroll. Oh, I'm sorry, Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin has my respect. I would be okay with Mike Tomlin being ahead of Doug Pederson, and this is why. Because Mike Tomlin knows what it's like to lose key members of your team during the season. Not only did he lose Ben Roethlisberger, but he had to go through 3 other quarterbacks. I mean, that's pretty impressive. To go through 4 different quarterbacks in the season and end up 8-8. Yeah, you didn't make the plugs, but you didn't go below 500. That is pretty impressive. Now, I think the trade for Minka Fitzpatrick did help that for the defensive side. But overall, I mean, to do what he did with 4 different quarterbacks, that's pretty impressive. So I will give Mike Tomlin that. I will give him that. But I think it's, what, 2 years in a row now that he's missed the playoffs? Come on now. Pete Carroll. What can I say? Ever since we've been, ever since Doug Peterson's been here, we have not been able to beat the Seattle Seahawks. I credit that more to Russell Wilson than I do Pete Carroll. I'll let you know that. But we haven't been able to beat him. So that one I understand. If you want to argue that Doug Peterson isn't top 3, fine. I would disagree with you, but fine. But below the top 5? No, absolutely not. So how would my order go? My order would go something like this. Bill Belichick, Andy Reid, Mike Tomlin, Pete Carroll, Doug Peterson. That's how my list will go. Well, actually, no, my bad. I'm sorry. It would be Bill Belichick, Andy Reid, Doug Peterson, Pete Carroll, Mike Tomlin. That would be my list. But again, if you want to argue Pete Carroll, Mike Tomlin are above him, I won't argue with you. Only reason why I'm putting Tomlin there, like I said, is he had to go through 4 different quarterbacks. So we understand how hard it is losing your quarterback. Well, Carroll, we just haven't beaten him yet. So, oh, and one more thing on Kyle Shanahan. A couple years ago, they lost Jimmy G for the season, right? And they just completely fell apart. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that if we lost Carson Wentz early in the season, that the Eagles would have still went 13-3 and been the #1 seed and then won the Super Bowl. I'm not telling you that. But what I am telling you is Doug Peterson had a backup quarterback just like Sean McVay. And he went in there and he beat the Patriots. Okay? So I don't want, in the Super Bowl, on the biggest stage, with the whole world watching, I don't want to hear about, oh, well, one of those years he had a backup quarterback. I don't want to hear that. The fact of the matter is, CBS Sports made this list because they wanted to rile up Eagles fans. Well, congratulations, you succeeded in doing that. Doug Peterson is a top 5, me, in my case, top 3, but he is no lower than number 5 in top 10 head coaches in the NFL. Oh, number 10, I never mentioned it, was Mike Zimmer. Now, we did beat him in the NFC Championship game, but he has had our number the last couple of years. But I like to say beat him when the moment counts, and the moment counts in the biggest stage, and the biggest stage was the NFC Championship game. But if you want to go with what have you done for me lately, I understand. But the fact of the matter is, Doug Peterson, year after year after year, has to go through some type of adversity. And this year is no different. The season hasn't even started yet, and we already lost Brandon Brooks for the entire season. I mean, what kind of mess is that? So right off the bat, we got a problem, and we ain't even get into training camp yet. So, to sit here and say that Doug Peterson isn't a top 5 head coach in this league, something's wrong with you. You're smoking, you're drinking, I don't know, maybe you thought you were just trying to be funny. Well, guess what? You're not funny, okay? Doug Peterson is a top 10 head coach, and that is the end of the discussion. And if you're not down with that, I've just got 3 words for you: fly, Eagles, fly. And if I said top 10, I meant top 5. But if I did say top 5, I'm saying it again. Doug Peterson is a top 5 head coach in the National Football League. Thank you and good night.